Good afternoon. Thank you for creating time for us. You are in time for the Lunchtime News. A very warm welcome to the broadcast. My name is Irene Muchuma. On sign language interpretation, we have Brian Muraru. Now, we begin with the education concerns. A section of education stakeholders in Nairobi County are urging the government to involve them in the implementation of the competency-based curriculum CBC. This is with the aim to ensure it benefits all learners in the country.
Stakeholders and parents from Ruai City Rose Academy in Nairobi have cited challenges in the competency-based curriculum implementation that range from infrastructure in Kenya public schools.
Mimi ningeambia government to work with the stakeholders, private school owners kama sisi, and where we can come together and give a solution, provide a solution for our learners. Our learners are the future of Kenya.
They are now calling on the government to have public and private partnership to ensure we decongest our populated public schools.
At this point, ningeuliza government, please, let's talk, let's find a way where we can address and solve the problem of congestion of even the grade 7, not to compromise their education at this particular time.
They all agree that CBC training is key and equal to the task to ensure the quality curriculum is implemented. Pauline Nasimir for Lunchtime News.
All right, residents of Juja and Ruiru villages in Kiambu County have appealed to Kenya Wildlife Service to contain marauding hippos in the area. The animals, according to residents, have been causing havoc in the remote areas of Juja and Ruiru as the residents helplessly watched. The residents say they are living in fear as they have relentlessly tried to ward off the beasts, and efforts are in vain, only for them to retreat to their hideouts and stage mayhem the next day. The residents have threatened to take matters into their own hands if Kenya Wildlife Service KWS will not take the necessary measures. Efforts to seek a comment from KWS Kiambu County offices proved futile.
Haijatoka kwa hii mto ya Ruiru River, haijatoka hapa. Sasa imekuja kuanzia saa 11 imeterrorize, lakini tumeshukuru Mungu kwa sababu haijadhuru mtu hata moja. Watoto saa hiyo ndio walikuwa wanaenda shule.
Hiyo mnyama ameingia hapa ni riski kwangu, hata kwa mimea yangu. Hata mama saa hii hawezi ondoka kwenda kwa shamba, na tunauliza serikali iondoe hii mnyama haraka sana, sababu kabla haijaharibu chakula. Sababu kirara leo sisi hatuwezi kuwa na chakula hata kidogo.
A dilapidated road linkage Igare and Nachake townships in Bombasi constituency in Kisii County has attracted public outrage. The current deplorable state of the 20 kilometers road had adversely hampered ferrying of agricultural produce to markets and access to health and informal transport services. Residents interviewed complained that the area leadership had abandoned them. The residents claimed the farmers were unable to deliver their produce to trade centers owing to the road's bad condition, and alleged that sick people had to be carried on wheelbarrows to health facilities after transportation means failed to navigate the impassable road.
Wamekufa hapa karibu. Tunashinda kufikisha hata maiti nyumbani. Kuna wagonjwa wako kwa michini. Tunashinda kuwapeleka hospitali.
Chai yendi, kila kitu imekwama. Wananchi tumesukuma gari, hata mkiangalia tumeshindwa vile tunafanya, hatuna mahali ya kwenda. Afadhali serikali tusaidie, ione hii barabara itakuwa namna gani.
All right, back to education concerns. Over 150,000 students in need around the country, among them the students of Magoso Primary School in Kibra, have benefited from a donation of 300,000 writing tools from BIC to enhance their learning system. This marks 1 million pen donations from the organization in the last 3 years. According to Salome Ngugi, this donation will help fill the gap in the education space with the aim of easing learning.
Speaking at Magoso Primary School, Salome Ngugi, BIC East Africa Marketing Manager, said that lack of resources is one of the major reasons for school dropouts and student demotivation.
We target the kids who are in need, and the idea is to be part of their education journey, all through their education journey, by supporting their education.
Joshua Moino, Project Officer, CFK Africa, noted that writing tools are crucial elements for students' learning system to enhance their ability to engage in classroom activities.
To ensure kids come to school, learn, and also transition to other levels, because education is something that will ensure that we have continuity in our generation.
Any learning experience to be successfully and efficiently carried out, there must be preparation by the teacher to have children stay in school and improve on performance.
Evans Otieno, Class 8 student, expressed his excitement and efforts of working hard and urged the public to understand the importance of writing tools to students.
We normally have those people who like to be absent because of, maybe let's say I don't have a pen, so he or she will not want to come to school. We have been given pens. It will help him stop absenteeism.
Pauline Nasimir for Lunchtime News.
Residents from Langas Estate, Eldoret Town, Uasin Gishu County are living in fear over a possible cholera outbreak. This follows an increase in the number of people who have shown signs and symptoms of the waterborne disease. The residents have attributed the symptoms, which include diarrhea and vomiting, to the consumption of untreated water, which the supplier, Eldoret Water and Sanitation Company, has refuted.
PHO wetu, public health officer wetu, hakuchukulia hatari zetu serious. Hata tuliporipoti ya kwamba kumekuwa na waadhiriwa kadhaa ambao wanaendesha, wanatapika na hali ya mazingira na sanitation haikuwa safi, hawakuona kana kwamba inaweza kuwa ni jambo serious.
Sisi tunachota maji ya Eldowas, unapata sometimes maji imekuwa chafu, saa ingine ni mzuri, ndio maana tunashikwa na hiyo kipindupindu.
Wakakuja wakafunga sewages za kuingia main road. Halafu wakasema maji imechanganyika. Sasa ndio tukashindwa maji imechanganyika namna gani. Kitu ya tatu, hii mtaro wa Langas. Langas ni chafu sana. Simbona watu wa Eldoret municipality waose Langas. Hiyo ndio swali.
Civil society groups now want the government to implement a standard tax system for all tobacco products in order to discourage its consumption. The stakeholders further urged the government to fully ban advertisement of all tobacco products to control and reduce its use among the population.
These come at a time when effects of tobacco have been adverse globally, ranging from environmental to health issues.
The negative impact of tobacco use is estimated to cost the Kenyan economy billions of shillings annually due to disability caused by tobacco use, premature mortality, and environmental degradation.
You smoke it, if you chew it, if you sniff it, it is all harmful. If you vape it, so vapes are not quit aids, they are tobacco products.
Stakeholders from civil society now want the government to tighten tobacco tax regime to discourage its consumption.
Cigarettes, whether filtered or plain, are taxed at the same level so that they are all expensive, and that will limit accessibility and affordability and encourage the users to stop or reduce, and also discourage non-users from initiating or starting to smoke. Please note the media houses that in advertisement, promotion, and sponsorship of tobacco products is prohibited by law in Kenya. So even the online platforms is prohibited.
Citizens have also been urged to avoid consumption of tobacco products publicly as they affect the non-smokers.
Did you know that it is illegal to smoke in public?
Including social places, because a public place is a place where you have a right, and the right of a non-smoker is above the right of a smoker. So the smoker cannot infringe on the right of a non-smoker.
Migori, Bungoma and Meru County are the largest producer of tobacco in Kenya. However, the economic significance of tobacco farming in the country has been declining. The land acreage under tobacco has decreased from 19,000 hectares in 2010 to 1,700 hectares in 2019. Similarly, the quantity of tobacco leaves produced has reduced from 14,000 tons to 8,500 tons in the same period, accounting for 0.15% of the country's GDP.
The launch of Tobacco Control Data Initiative is a significant step towards the reduction of use of tobacco and its health impacts. Terry Njenga, KBC Channel 1.
Isiolo South Member of Parliament Mohamed Tubi is calling upon the county's security teams to employ transparency in the process of recruitment of National Police Reservists, noting that Isiolo County is cosmopolitan and cases of nepotism in recruitment might trigger conflict in the county. Speaking at Algani Girls Secondary School in Kina Ward, Isiolo South constituency, the legislator noted that the county plays host to different tribes and clans. To be saying civic leaders and elders from each tribe are key in averting discontent, which is often surfacing during the National Police Reservice in the county.
Wazee si chief peke yake, wakae na wazee ikiwezekana waongeze hata MCA na iwe imegawanywa vizuri bila kufanya fitna katikati ya wananchi wa Isiolo South. Already tuko peaceful, tumekaa salama. Watu wengi walikuja, watu kutoka Sericho walikuja, kutoka Galana, kutoka Ngambwele, kutoka Ethiopia, kutoka wapi walikuja, na sisi tulihost hapa.
The National Cohesion and Integration Commission has convened a meeting for the youth drawn from 6 counties, including Kericho, Kisumu, Nandi, Narok, Nyamira, and Bomet, to explore their role in securing the counties from prevailing threats of protest and demonstrations. Speaking in Kericho during a 4-day seminar dubbed Wajibika Youth Dialogue, NCIC Commissioner Sam Kona emphasized the need to engage the youth so that their use by politicians to incite violence can be curbed. Kericho County Commissioner Michael Lesima said demonstrations are within the law, but the politicians must take caution on the loss of lives, property, as it is also punishable by the same law.
A lot of uncertainty across the country, and indeed when the protests and demonstrations were convened, we experienced escalation in terms of violence, destruction of property, disruption of businesses, and even threat to certain business interests.
Even those who have paid people in Nairobi so that they can take some demonstrations and destroy property, take it from me, we will deal with them sometime. Even if it will take how many years, we will deal with them.
In other news, administrators in Laikipia have impounded and destroyed more than 10,000 litres of illicit brew at Maina village in the outskirts of Nyahururu town. During the operation, the officers had to grapple with a rough terrain and a herd of elephants that were grazing next to where most of the brewing operators were found. Another 860 litres of illicit brew was netted in Igembe North, Meru County, and one suspect arrested.
Police officers who had been tipped off by members of the public of the illegal business at Maina village in the outskirts of Nyahururu town swung into action. After over 8 hours of combing the rough terrain and even encountering elephants at some point, over 10,000 liters of illicit brew, popularly known as Kangara, was impounded. The brew was later destroyed, with the Nyahururu Division Assistant County Commissioner Vicky Munyasya saying that the brewer had been flushed out of Thompson's Falls a month ago and had set base at Judea area.
Ingawa hatujaweza kumaliza pombe yote, tumemwaga 10,000 liters na wale ambao wanapika hii pombe wametoroka. Kwa hivyo siku ya leo naona tumekuwa na siku mzuri na tutaendelea na hii vita mpaka pombe haramu iishe.
Na hii pombe inatumika, inapikwa na miti na kuni. Kwa hivyo kuna miti inakatwa ndio ipika hii pombe. Kwa hivyo tungeuliza hata serikali, department ya forest ihusishwe, yashe kuwa kama minor peke administration peke yake ndio inafanya hii kazi. Tungeiomba tushikane pamoja na KWS, kwa sababu kama wangekuwa kwa wagestua hiyo madofu ndio tuendelee na exercise.
The brew is said to have been prepared using chick mash and rotten maize, which was a great threat to the health of the users.
Wenye wanapika hii pombe ningependa kuwapea onyo. Kwa sasa hakuna kazi nyingine tutafanya mpaka hii pombe ishe Nyahururu Division.
Meanwhile, police officers from Lare Police Station in Igembe, North Meru County have arrested one suspected netted 860 liters of illicit brew known as Muuna and 20 liters of chang'aa.
Pata ikiwa hiyo process ya kutengeneza hiyo chang'aa ikiwa inaendelea, na tuweza kuchukua hizo vifaa, pombe, everything tukaleta hapa kwa station ndio tuweze kupelekwa kotini.
According to Peter Kimanthi, the Igembe North Sub-County Police Commander, the officers got a tip-off concerning a notorious brewer known as Doris Kazure, aged 35 years. Upon raiding her home, they found her preparing the illicit brew.
Wale ambao wanafikiria maybe tutafanya na tuchoke, we are here kumaliza hiyo mambo ya hiyo pombe haramu na hizo drugs. And I want to assure watu ya Igembe North that those activities ambazo they are illegal activities hatutazikubalia.
The government has vowed not to relent in bringing down the illicit business that has turned into a menace for several families. Nancy Okware, Lunchtime News.
Thank you, Okware, for that report. Now, it is his dream to become a community leader in his village, but the gods Murambi pray to don't seem to agree with him on this prayer item. Will his ambitious plan succeed? On today's episode of Cinemas and Theatre, we review the film When the Gods Argue. Take a look.
Evil whispering that dissuades us from our purpose.
When the Gods Argue is a film that follows Murambi, a hard-working young man.
You know, this thing's actually going to be more difficult than we thought.
Who thinks he can take a shot at becoming a community leader.
Lifted ancestors, fierce protectors and skilled healers.
However, his traditional religious beliefs stand in the way of his goals, and worse is the dysfunctional set of gods he prays to.
Evil whispering that dissuades us from our purpose.
They don't seem to agree on any of his prayer items, hence always stagnating his ambitious plans. Directed by El Biko Nyongesa, When the Gods Argue is an introspective film inspired by our regular day arguments that retrogress us as individuals.
So the setting of When the Gods Argue, the concept was inspired by that aspect of, you know, the situation as it is right now. We argue too much over something very little instead of just agreeing on it. What we need to do for this, for example, industry, sector, or project to move forward.
The film, available on Maisha Magic, features Sam Adino, Michael Munyoki, Sam Senjan, William Juma, among others.
The Kenya Theatre Awards has this system I introduced into them of archiving performances. I just went into that random selection. I was specific with my leads. I wanted people that are not names, let me say that. when it comes to the larger entertainment scene. And I wanted a mix of also people that have been there before. So it was easy to come, just pick out of an array of all these available actors, and also with heavy consultations with my producer.
Shot in Wangige for a period of 5 days, Biko describes the production as one of the best, attributing it to the good cooperation with the crew. He, however, notes the film challenged him differently compared to his previous productions.
I've never tackled anything that brings across the politics of leadership. But when the Gods Argue also brings on board the politics of leadership, because Murambi wants to become a community leader, but this select group of church elders cannot allow him to add to the woes that the gods are not even on his case. You get it? So that was a mix that I've not done before. It was daring, and that's why I picked this concept to put it out, because I felt it will give my work traction.
Umeonyesha dhahiri kwamba haupendi njia za kisasa, haswa njia za kidini.
As a filmmaker, he notes research has often lacked in many productions, urging fellow filmmakers to incorporate more research in future productions.
For example, if you want to tell a story, an investigative story, okay, how do our investigative institutions in Kenya work? It's not just a matter of somebody, an investigative officer going out of the office, then finding out the information, then coming back and giving up the verdict and say, we have arrested this guy, he'll be jailed, all right? There is a process. So we need to incorporate research into this. And you find that if we find, for example, retired DCI officers and all that, work with them as consultants, they'll give us information that is close to reality, and you'll find that it will start informing our stories. And when our stories go out into the public, they'll relate.
Scene 15, shot 1, take 1.
Filmmakers, however, continue appreciating the strides the film industry in Kenya is making.
Now you can see names you didn't see 5 years ago. That's a chance that we have improved. Also, you can see that training has come in to aid this whole scenario. We have more colleges, we have more institutions that are teaching film.
I have asked you for too many things, it seems, and you're capable of giving none of them to me.
Will Murambi triumph to achieve his goal? Will the gods ever come to an agreement?
It was father's life mission to get back on the seat. That's the only way to fulfill the legacy of our lineage.
Jacqueline Masharia for Cinemas and Theatre.
The government has been asked to involve private sectors in the fight against alcohol and drug addiction in central Kenya, where hundreds of youths have fallen victim to the menace at an alarming rate. Reverend James Gishuki said the war on addiction can only be won through an integrated approach, incorporating all the stakeholders, among them government departments, rehab centers, the victims and their families. Speaking during a training attended by some of the addicts in Juja, Kiambu County, Jane said there is need for coordination between both county and national governments as well as investors in the private sector if the initiative was to bear fruit. Some of the drug addicts, Paul Kimani, George Njuguna and Gabriel Kimani, said depression has led them to alcohol victims.
Speaking during a training attended by some of the addicts in Juja, Kiambu County, Reverend Jane Gishuki, the chairlady of the Mana Manaume, emphasized that the battle against drug addiction can only be won through an integrated approach and incorporating all stakeholders.
Tunapaswa kushikana ili tuweze kuokoa hawa vijana, kwa sababu hii vita ni ya kiroho, na kwa hivyo kanisa tunaposimama na kuweza kuwaombea, ninajua kupitia yale maombi wataweza kufunguka, na wakifunguka pia Kenya itakuwa imesimama.
Her sentiments were further echoed by James Motonga.
Kuna baadhi ya wale ambao wamesoma, wako na courses tofauti, wako na shahada tofauti, na hao watu wameingilia madawa ya kulevya na labda walikosa kazi. Yale mambo ambayo imewasukuma hawa vijana kuingilia pombe za kulevya ni yale mambo kama desperation, mtu alisoma akakosa kazi na ukaona ile kitu ambao anapata consolation kwake ni ile hali anaenda kubugia katika pombe na madawa ya kulevya.
They are now calling upon the county government of Kiambu to set aside one health facility to cater for all drug addicts.
Glad you're watching the Lunchtime News. We are taking a breather. We'll be back with more, including business and sports. Stay with us.
Ili kupata sikiza tune hii ya kibeti, bonyeza star 811 star 962 hash.
Haki umefanya vizuri sana kunifikia hii simu sasa. Nimekuwa na stress kutoka asubuhi kabisa. Na ni huyu mtu ambaye alikuwa anapatiana majina ya vitu. Kwani hakutufikiria sisi watu wa Eastern Ukambani? Ni nani alisema ati wife kwa Kiswahili ni mke? Na akasema ati handbaka. Hii inabebwa na mwanamke handbaka. Ati kwa Kiswahili ni kibeti. Huku kwetu mke ndiye kibeti.
Ili kupata sikiza tune hiyo ya kibeti, bonyeza star 811 star 962 hash. Star 811 star 962 hash.
It's an enclosed place. Couldn't you just hold it?
Hey, Charlie.
So bad.
Do you see all these people? How can you fart in public? It's so bad.
But I didn't fart. I wasn't the one who farted.
And you all laughed at me, saying I was dreaming, and I was wrong.
I agree with you now, because half the story takes place in China.
She is.
Oh, right, Harvey. If you know any nice guys, could you please hook Charlene up with them? She doesn't have a boyfriend right now, and now that Jenny has you, she must feel very lonely.
Are you scared? It's not a big deal if they find out.
Come on, stop joking.
I want them all to know. You're the woman who captured my heart.
So, wewe unaweza filaje ukitoa majina kama hayo?
Aje sasa na mimi hata si ati mmoja wewe.
Wewe si? Malizia wewe si?
Ataifanya.
Huyo jamaa shikisi.
Labda commission, endelea kumpigia, eventually lazima atashika.
Relax. Itakuwa sawa. Lala itakuwa sawa.
Welcome back. Glad you're watching the Lunchtime News. Now, over 500 families in Kinango sub-county of Kwale have benefited from a food donation worth 1 million shillings from the Kenya Ports Authority KPA during this year's Eid celebration. The food is being distributed to widows and underprivileged families from the Muslim community in the county who are currently observing the holy month of Ramadan to enable them celebrate Eid.
Anasahau jina lake.
Kama shirika la bandari tuko na kitengo cha CSI ambapo tunaweza kusaidia jamii kwa mambo mengi ikiwemo masuala ya mijengo ya mashule, mambo ya afya na vitengo vingi ambavyo tunasaidia. Kwa hivyo kama KPA, kama shirika tutazidi kusaidia jamii.
Na sisi tunashukuru sana alhamdulillah kwa mwenyekiti wa shirika la bandari za Kenya pamoja na komiti zake na washirika wote kwa jumla kwa kutukumbuka, na hii chakula inshallah taala itawasaidia familia ambao hali zao ni ngumu.
A total of 210 youth in Kericho County have benefited from a one-year internship program provided by the county government. The program is to help the youth acquire skills in their field of study and also reduce unemployment in the county.
operationalize plan.
Kericho Governor Eric Mutai says the program is the first ever in the county since the inception of devolution and will help the youth to acquire skills in their field of study and also act as a way of reducing unemployment in the county.
Since the inception of devolution, and Honorable Speaker has just confirmed the same, we have never had interns program in the county government of Kericho. We're also going to pay you some money to facilitate you as you do your work.
His sentiments were echoed by Edna Tunui, CECM in charge of public service management.
We expect that the beneficiaries will demonstrate commitment, willingness to fully and actively participate in the learning experience of the internship program. You are also expected to make an effort to acquire relevant skills in areas of specialization, complete assignments given by your supervisors.
The interns will be paid a stipend of 15,000 for degree holders and 12,000 for diploma holders to facilitate them.
Welcome to Channel 1 Business News. Small businesses have been advised to consider insuring their businesses against risks such as fire and theft. The Insurance Regulatory Authority Chair, Mwambu Mabonga, says the macroeconomic environment continues to be volatile and insurance firms should develop special insurance packages for small businesses that include intellectual property.
At least 450,000 micro, small and medium-sized enterprises close shop annually in Kenya, translating to at least 1,000 daily, according to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. This is without consideration of other risks such as theft, where looters mostly target small businesses. Despite such businesses accounting for 9 out of 10 businesses, their uptake of insurance remains extremely low. The Insurance Regulatory Authority says low insurance penetration in Kenya stems from low awareness levels about insurance by small businesses and the fear of high premium costs.
We shall not be a stumbling block to you to do business. And those small, they call them small foxes, that have delayed the rollout of some of these key products to the market, we shall endeavor with the management to ensure that we give you good environment to do your business.
Mabonga says insurance firms should create all-inclusive special packages for such businesses.
As an authority, we've been looking forward to innovative products in the market that would respond to the needs of the people. The authority did provide regulations and guidelines for registration of micro-insurance companies that would basically focus on the needs of small businessmen. And this would also encourage inclusion and access.
Is the product that is going actually to secure many micro business outside there on the market.
Micro, small and medium-sized enterprises are being encouraged to embrace insurance as opposed to the habit of only seeking insurance services after disaster strikes.
Explore ways to leverage technology to improve access to insurance and risk management solutions for SMEs. These could include exploring new distribution channels that enable SMEs to access insurance services easily.
Insurance firms are seeking the input of micro, small and medium-sized enterprises on their needs in a product to custom make and innovate as appropriate. They're confident that if small businesses begin insuring their operations, the number of small businesses dying before celebrating the 3-year mark will significantly reduce.
Their ability to address regional and sectoral imbalances in the economy necessitates us to respond accordingly in support of a sector that keeps the hopes of many lives and families in Kenya alive.
Backside for Lunchtime News.
Across the borders, crude oil prices were down in Asian trade today as the US dollar strengthened on rate hike expectations, and after recent economic data from the US and China did not do enough to encourage expectations that demand will improve. Brent crude futures lost 0.94% to $82.34 a barrel, while the West Texas Intermediate crude futures dropped 1.20% to $78.21. Here now are the details of this and other stories making headlines across the globe.
The price of both Brent and West Texas Intermediate benchmarks declined for a second day after a 2% fall yesterday to their lowest since OPEC Plus announced its surprise production cut at the beginning of this month. The West Texas Intermediate crude is back below the $80 level, and it could continue drifting lower if the stronger dollar trade resumes. The US dollar index has moved up 0.40% over the course of this week. A strengthening greenback makes oil more expensive for holders of other currencies. The US crude stockpile fell by 4.6 million barrels last week as refinery runs and exports rose. Meanwhile, Google plans to introduce generative artificial intelligence into its advertising business over the coming months, as big tech groups rush to incorporate the groundbreaking technology into their products. Google began the public release of its chatbot Bard last month, seeking users and feedback to gain ground on Microsoft Corp in the race to top the market for AI technology. The Alphabet-owned company intends to begin using the AI to create novel advertisements based on materials produced by human marketers. Google already uses AI in its advertising business to create simple prompts that encourage users to buy products. However, the integration of its latest generative AI, which also powers its Bard chatbot, means it will be able to produce far more sophisticated campaigns resembling those created by marketing agencies. Finally, U.S. authorities have imposed a $3 million penalty on tech firm Seagate for allegedly violating export controls of hard disk drives to China's Huawei. The U.S. Department of Commerce says Seagate Technology shipped more than $1.1 billion worth of goods to Huawei after export controls were introduced in 2020. The penalty is the latest move by the U.S. government to stop sales of sophisticated technology to China. The U.S. authorities have said such equipment may be used by China's military. Seagate shipped 7.4 million drives to Huawei for about a year after the rule was imposed by the administration of former U.S. President Donald Trump. Terry Njenga, Lunchtime News.
The Microsoft Africa Development Center, in partnership with Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, Department of Computing, have completed a curriculum review of the university's Bachelor of Science degrees to make them more relevant to industry demands. The venture is set to fast-track digital transformation by providing opportunities for upskilling to enhance youth competitiveness in the global digital landscape.
About 55% of jobs in Kenya will rely on digital skills by the year 2030, which will require professionals with advanced digital skills. Most Kenyans have got the basic digital skills but lack sufficient high-level digital labor. To bridge the gap, Microsoft, in partnership with Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, have initiated an updated curriculum set to assist in preparing students for the demands of a rapidly changing technology industry. Industry players say there is a need to keep up with pace with technology innovation and the growth of the global digital economy. In line with this, the reviewed curriculum will introduce new and innovative concepts, including applied machine learning, virtual reality, quantum computing, and user experience design, as well as industry standard tools at the education level to improve students' familiarity with them as they enter the workplace. Additionally, they say the skills learned under the new curriculum will map out the country as a destination for technology companies looking to invest here. The initiative comes at a time when the government National Digital Master Plan Directive is underway to propel the country's digital growth trajectory. As part of the national digitization agenda, the government launched the Kenya National Digital Master Plan last year to direct the country's digital growth trajectory. One of the critical pillars of the master plan is the improvement of digital skills by building the capacity of at least 10,000 ICT professionals with high-level skills. Nduta Mokami for Lunchtime News.
And before we get the latest from the world of sports, let's get back to the local scene. Secondary school students in the country have been encouraged to seek guidance before taking up courses that will complement their careers. Dr. Freda Mugambi, a judge of the High Court of Kenya, who was addressing parents and teachers at St. Anne's Leoki Secondary School, said most people lack employment due to uninformed career choices. Sheila Yogo will be having that report in a bit. All right, I'm told the report is ready, and here it is with Sheila Yogo.
Secondary school students have been encouraged to seek guidance before making career choices in life. Dr. Freda Mugambi, a judge at the High Court of Kenya, spoke to students and parents of St. Anne's Leoki Secondary School in Kiambu during a close prize-giving ceremony.
If you want to go to campus and take law, you put everything that you have into making sure that you get an A in your languages, English or Kiswahili, and you make sure that you get an A in your mathematics.
The judge said most young people in the country get challenges in seeking jobs due to poor career choices. Dr. Mugambi also encouraged the youth to take up TVET courses, saying the job market requires all types of skills.
There are jobs out there, but we are only concentrating on the certain 2-3 tiers. But who said that is all that one can become? We need to move this country forward. This country needs people in the TVET training institutions who come to fill an education gap in this country.
She also called on former students to join respective alumni groups through which they can give back to their former schools.
Certainly the alumni has a role to play, and that's why I'm saying that when a school has given you so much that you can't even begin to quantify in monetary terms, the best that you can give back is to come back and find out what are the problems, what is it that we can do to improve the school and to make sure that the legacy lives on, because when the legacy of St. Anne's lives on, we alumni are happy.
Edith Gitonga, the principal of St. Anne's Leoki Secondary School, appealed to parents and government to offer their support in improving school infrastructure due to the high number of students.
Currently, we do not have a room where we can all fit as a school. And that is why the students just pick their food and then they go to eat from their classrooms.
Sheila Kayaro Yogo reporting for Lunchtime News.
The Eritrean-Ethiopian War, also known as Badme War, was a major armed conflict between Ethiopia and Eritrea that took place 2 years beginning May 1998. Lieutenant Philip Kiprotich Serem was among the United Nations military observers sent from the Kenya Air Force to monitor and verify the cessation of hostilities agreement signed between the two countries. Here is his story on this week's episode of Military Tales.
Lieutenant Colonel Philip Kiprotich Serem was already a senior officer
when he was nominated by the Kenya Air Force to go on a mission in Ethiopia and Eritrea as a military observer in October of 2002.
Ethiopia was never colonized, but Eritrea was an Italian colony. So something happens that they merged now and became part of Ethiopia. So the Eritreans, they fought to secede from Ethiopia. And then in the year 1978, that country, Eritrea, was given independence by the United Nations. And in the year 2000, they went to war.
The two countries were eventually separated, and between the border of the two nations was an area demarcated and dubbed the Temporary Security Zone, where the troops of the fighting forces were not allowed.
As a military observer, you're supposed to monitor the agreement to make sure that there is no violation of the agreement, that no forces have crossed to the Temporary Security Zone.
Dire consequences would follow for anyone found in violation of the Temporary Security Zone.
I was in a team site called Omhaja in the southwest of Eritrea, where one header was heading his camels, and the camels decided to cross. You know, the border, there is no fence in the border, and the camels cross over. So this young man wanted to go and bring back the camels. The Ethiopian forces, who were guarding that border, they shoot that header. And it was now the only people who could actually negotiate with the Ethiopians were the military observers. Fortunately enough, in that particular case, I was on the other side of Eritrea. I remember we went, collected the body, and handed over to the relatives for burial. But the camels remained. They did not allow us to take the camels.
But that was not the end of his encounters.
During our patrol, we located this bomb on the side of the road. A bomb like that I show you is a bomb that was dropped by an aircraft. It is approximately 250 kilogram bomb. And the 250 kilogram bomb is a very big bomb.
Landmines were also common in that area.
The people there, they don't want you to patrol that area because of some activities that they could be doing. So what they do, they lay mines on the road. So even in that team site where I was, we used to operate using two vehicles. So that in case one vehicle is hit by a mine, then the other vehicle will be used to assist to recover the people who are injured.
Upon his return to Kenya, Lieutenant Colonel Serem served in different capacities, rising up the ladder to eventually become the officer in charge of works and maintenance at the Moi Air Base between the years of 2004 and 2009.
All the infrastructure, the runway, the hangars, and everything, even the roads in the base, they are okay. You don't actually carry out because they are normally outsourced, but you are the one who prepare the procurement process for those activities to be done.
From the year 2009 to 2012, he was deployed to the Kenya Defence Staff Headquarters as a staff officer in charge of career and manpower development.
Basically, I was in charge of recruitment of personnel and programming their training.
Lieutenant Colonel Philip Kiprotich Serem retired from the Kenya Air Force in 2012 after 29 years of service.
I want to thank God for giving me the privilege to serve in the KDF, because what I am now is because of KDF. The land that I own, the house that I stay in, the education of my children, everything about me is KDF.
Lieutenant Colonel Philip Kiprotich Serem was among the very first beneficiaries of the Tonje rules, which among many other things allowed for military personnel to be able to find housing outside of the military camps. Reporting for KBC from Nairobi County, I'm Nisi Imano.
And in sports, a team of 97 swimmers selected from various schools in the country will participate in the Kampala Invitational Swimming Championships set to be held this Sunday at the Kampala Aquatic Academy in Uganda. Take a look.
Swimmers from this year's Mount Kenya Swimming Block overall champions St. Christopher School in Nanyuki. Laikipia County Women Representative Jane Kagiri, who flagged off the team, says the county supports the growth of budding talents, calling for more investments in the sport. The remaining swimmers were selected from Lukenya School, Umoja Sharks, Porterhouse School and Pioneer Girls High School. The team will use the event sanctioned by the Uganda Swimming Federation as a ramp-up event as they prepare to compete in the Hamilton Aquatics Championships in June this year in Dubai. Swimming coaches from the participating nations Uganda, Kenya and Rwanda will also take up a coaches exchange program to refine their skills. Laura Mwangi for Lunchtime News.
Manchester City set up a Champions League semi-final clash with holders Real Madrid after beating Germans Bayern Munich 4-1 on goals aggregate. Meanwhile, 4 Europa League matches are on card tonight with Manchester United and Roma in action.
Meanwhile, 4 Europa League quarter-final second leg ties will be played tonight. Sevilla will host